Welcome to the Team 1418 Vevictus 8th grade presentation. My name is Alec. I am the mechanics captain.
My name is Oliver. I'm the programming captain.
So first we'll sort of talk about what FIRST is. If you think of the NFL as the sports league for football, FIRST is kind of like the sports league for robotics. Each year they host a different type of competition. This year's was ocean themed. Last year's was music themed. And between each competition there's always new different objectives and sort of ways you have to design the robot to tackle things.
So who can be a part of 1418? Anyone can be. You don't need any prior experience because we will teach you all the skills you need in the team.
So now we'll sort of talk about the team structure. Now there are two main teams, the mechanics team and the programming team. The mechanics team actually develops all of the sort of physical components of the robot. So that's going to be any motors or claws or arms. The programming part, that's the actual software, so the code that would allow those parts that I just mentioned to actually work. And then you can see here all these other terms are sort of the things that we try to achieve. So we want to have good documentation, good design, good strategy, all that stuff between each of the groups.
So our design process follows the cycle: design, prototype, test, and repeat. If we have a problem we want to solve in the robot, we will design a solution in teams, and each team will design a prototype, test the prototype, and we will use whichever prototype we like the best and continue to iterate on it.
And one of the more important parts of the robot manufacturing process, as I mentioned previously, is the coding. This actually allows the hardware of the robot to actually function properly, because you can have a really good motor system, you can have really good treads and whatnot, you can have a good elevator, but none of it will work properly if the code that you wrote to have all that work, is working pretty suboptimally. So you want to try to develop good code, so that's why that's a really important part of our team.
So we also have a social media team if you're interested in that. And what they do is they run the entire social media account all by themselves. They take all the photographs, they design all the media, they edit all of it, and then they post it.
And then there is, of course, the competition part. This always happens around March. And this is when we actually are pretty much finished building the robot, and we take our robot to several different events around the DMV area. And we compete against other teams in whatever year's game it is. And we always love it because the atmosphere is really fun. You can talk to people from different teams. It's a nice, friendly competition. And overall, the atmosphere is really fun.
So here's the typical timeline for a robotics season. Starting in the fall, we're in preseason, meeting once a week, really just meeting all the new members, getting everyone to know each other. In January, early January, they release the prompt for the season, the competition, and we start building the robot. That's when we start meeting every day. You don't have to meet every day, but it's nice if you do. And then in March, the competitions start. So we continue to meet every day, and then over the weekends, we will go to competitions and compete. Then in spring is postseason, which is when we go back to meeting once a week and really just tying up all the loose ends that are left over from the build season.
In case you were wondering, you can see here, as I mentioned previously, it was an ocean-themed game, and the main sort of part of this game was the fact that there were several rods that were each in increasingly higher heights, and we had to take the pipe and put it on either one of these rods. So as a result, we had this elevator here to allow us to reach each individual height. And then we have the intake here, which allows us to intake and deposit the pipe that we put on the rods. And then we also here, we have the climbing mechanism that allows us to latch onto this cage. That was also allowed us to get more points. And you can see kind of just how it all comes together here, just as an example.
Here's our Instagram if you want to follow us.
And then here is the Schoology access code in case you want to join that.